Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. This morning, I introduced articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. I am proud to have the support of almost 70 members of Congress already from all across the country. Secretary Noem has brought her reign of terror to the Chicagoland area, LA, New Orleans, Charlotte, Durham, and communities north to south to east to west. You'll hear from some of those communities, Minnesota and Portland. She needs to be held accountable for her actions. This is why I introduced 3 articles of impeachment against Secretary Noem. Number 1, obstruction of Congress. Secretary Noem has denied me and other members of Congress oversight of ICE detention facilities. I was denied access to the ICE facility in Broadview despite following Secretary Noem's unlawful 7-day notice requirement. It is our constitutional duty to find out what's happening in these centers where inhumane conditions continue to be reported. Number 2, violation of public trust. Secretary Noem directed DHS agents to arrest people without warrants, use tear gas against citizens, and ignore due process. She claims she's taken murderers and rapists off our streets, but none of the 614 people arrested during Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago have been charged or convicted of murder or rape. Federal agents repelled from Black Hawk helicopters and burst through an apartment in the South Shore of Chicago. That was in my district. They dragged people, U.S. citizens and immigrants alike, out of bed in the middle of the night. Number 3 is self-dealing. Secretary Noem has abused her power for personal benefit. She steered a federal contract to a new firm run by a friend. Her propaganda campaign to recruit ICE agents cost taxpayers $200 million. She made a video that turned the South Shore raid into something that looked like a movie trailer. But make no mistake, this is not a movie. This is real life, and real people are being hurt and killed. Renee Nicole Goode is dead because Secretary Noem allowed her DHS agents to run amok. Families are forever torn apart. This is not about personalities or trivial disagreements. Secretary Noem has called my impeachment efforts silly. I want to tell her right now, Secretary Noem, you have violated your oath of office, and there will be consequences. I am watching you, members of Congress are watching you, the American people, most importantly, are watching you. And most of all, we are not liking what we're seeing. If you believe impeachment is silly, then you are not taking your job or our Constitution seriously. Now it's my honor to introduce Congressman Adriano Espaillat from New York's 13th District and Chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus.
Thank you, Congresswoman Robin Kelly. I am proud to join you in introducing these articles of impeachment against Secretary Noem, who have clearly violated the law and the trust of the American people. 32 people died under DHS custody in 2025, and already 4 people have died in 2026, along widespread reports of sexual abuse, medical neglect, and inhumane conditions. All of this enabled by a broken system. But most importantly, our eyes do not defy us. Our eyes do not lie to us. We see, as the rest of the world has seen, how women are being violently pulled out of their cars and assaulted in front of the American people and in front of the eyes of the world. How a woman was shot in the face as America watched on TV and as the rest of the world watched of this heinous murder. We've seen how not only immigrants, but green card holders, TPS recipients, farm workers, and even American citizens are being stopped illegally, cuffed, detained, and in some cases arrested and deported. I went to Monterrey, Mexico where I met with 4 children, US-born children, American citizens, that were sent to Mexico with their parents, including a young girl with a chronic cancer condition in her brain that needed immediate medical attention in a hospital in Houston, Texas. So this is a human rights violation, a blatant human rights violation. This is only seen in aggressive dictatorships across the world. And so that's what we have. This is the Trump dictatorship. Do you think that a dictatorship knocks on your door and gives you a dozen roses when you open it? A dictatorship takes away your rights, your fundamental rights. It creeps up behind you and it assaults you. Eventually, it knocks on your door and shoots you. This is what's happening in America today. And so that's why it is important to hold the Secretary accountable. This is enshrined in our laws and our Constitution. We must exercise our oversight powers. Congresswoman Velasquez and I went to 26 Federal Plaza, where we were denied entry to an ICE building. Subsequently, we went to court, and we had a favorable decision by that court to allow us to exercise our oversight powers. And just recently, Secretary Noem again placed another 7-day notice so they can prepare themselves and hide the truth before we get there. When we got there, they were mopping the floors. They were cleaning up. They didn't want us to see the dirty conditions. 30 men in a room with 2 toilets, one of them broken. A woman right across in another cell that could see each other. No confidentiality at all. This is inhumane and warrants an impeachment proceeding. Esto es inhumano. Y sí merece un proceso de destitución. Por eso estoy aquí con la congresista Kelly para unirnos a este proceso que lo garantiza la Constitución de los Estados Unidos. Gracias. Oh, I'm sorry. And now allow me please to introduce Congresswoman Maxine Dexter from Oregon's 3rd District.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you to Representative Robin Kelly for meeting this moment with action and moral clarity. I'm Congresswoman Maxine Dexter. I'm a mother, a physician, and the honored representative for Oregon's 3rd Congressional District. Last week, ICE murdered Renee Nicole Goode in Minneapolis. The very next day, federal agents shot 2 people in East Portland in my district. These are not isolated events. This is part of a pattern of abuse by brazen, militarized federal agents who act without fear of being held accountable to the law. People are being disappeared. People are being assaulted. And now people are being murdered. And when our children and grandchildren ask what we did when our neighbors were being targeted, I cannot sleep unless I can say every single thing we could. That is why I'm helping introduce articles of impeachment to remove Kristi Noem from office. We've all seen her crimes play out right before our very eyes. She's willfully obstructed congressional oversight, denying members, as you have heard, of Congress to facilities they have a legal right to conduct oversight at. She's clearly violated public trust with her warrantless arrests, the use of violent force against U.S. citizens, including detaining 4 U.S. citizen children from my district and being held in a windowless cell at the border near Canada for weeks. And Kristi Noem has misused her position for personal gain while inappropriately using $200 million, taxpayer dollars, to fund an ad campaign to bring in ICE recruitment. These are not the best of the best folks that she's looking for. She is looking for people who are willing to invoke her lawless charade. I'm going to use every opportunity to implore my colleagues across this institution to wake up. and join this effort because protecting communities from unaccountable power isn't optional. That is our duty. Courage is contagious. And with that, I'm honored to yield to one of the most courageous among us, Representative Lydia Velasquez.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and to all my colleagues here and to Robin Kelly, thank you so much for this action. When the president was running for office, for president, he made a pledge to the American people that he will be the no-wars president. And yet, he is invading sovereign countries like Venezuela, also sending a message to Cuba, Mexico, Iran, and in our own streets of America, he's launched war against American citizens. So let's get straight to the point. We are here today because the Department of Homeland Security has been turned into a weapon of political revenge. This agency thinks it's above the law. Kristi Noem has treated the Constitution like a suggestion and our communities like a battlefield. I have represented the people of New York for over 30 years. I have seen a lot of presidents, but I have never seen an administration use federal agencies to explicitly punish cities just because they didn't vote for them. That is exactly what Donald Trump is doing, and Kristi Noem is his willing executioner. In my city, ICE is no longer a law enforcement agency. It's a rogue operation. Mass agents are abducting high school students from their neighborhoods. They are snatching fathers and mothers outside our immigration courts during routine checks, turning places of justice into traps. Even this week, they detained a city council staffer who is here in New York legally. This agency is completely out of control. Every time you see an ICE officer interacting with Americans now, they are screaming, cursing, and smashing windows to pull people out of their cars. It is the Wild West out there. And I guess that is why Kristi Noem loves wearing that cowboy hat. The difference is, Ms. Noem, this is not a show. Lives are on the line. When she bragged about shooting her own dog, she wasn't just telling a story. She was showing us her character and how she might run a government agency. When you give untrained individuals a badge and set them loose, Americans are going to get hurt. Just like we saw last week in the tragic killing of Renee Nicole Goode. And what was Kristi Noem's response? Did she demand an investigation? No, she went on national television and smeared a dead American as a domestic terrorist. The articles we are filing today lay it all out. The obstruction of Congress, the violation of the public trust, and the self-dealing. While her agents are out there shooting citizens, Noem is busy funneling hundreds of millions in taxpayers' dollars to her friends at agencies through emergency contracts. Kristi Noem has betrayed her oath, she has betrayed the Constitution, and she has betrayed the American people. Quiero decirle que estamos aquí con estos artículos para procesar a la secretaria de Homeland Security. una persona que no es digna de la confianza del pueblo americano, está violando la Constitución, no tiene la capacidad de sentir de tener ningún sentimiento sobre justicia y mucho menos respetar el proceso legal de todas las personas que se encuentran en los Estados Unidos. Por esta y otras razones estamos hoy aquí para traer justicia a la familia, no solamente de Nicole, pero todas las familias inmigrantes que están viviendo aterrorizadas. Aquí, en esta nación, que tiene la estatua de la libertad, que se supone que sea the beacon of hope. Gracias.
Thank you so much to my colleagues from the East Coast to Hawaii for standing with me today. And now I'll open it up for a question.
Yeah, if I can just ask, obviously, you have many members here. I think you said there's 70 people who have signed on. Does Leader Jeffries support this effort?
You'll have to answer the Jeffries, but I would not be standing here if I was told not to do it. You know, there was some,
So you've spoken to him directly about this?
yeah, our staff has spoken.
It was 50 just some time ago. It's 70 today. Do you anticipate that the majority of the caucus will eventually sign on to this effort?
Yeah, I expect more to sign on. That's what we're doing now, trying to build more sponsors of the legislation. I mean, people joined on quickly. You know, when I put it out there, people contacted me almost immediately, and it's been growing and growing and growing as people find out about it.
And just to follow up to that, have you encountered any resistance from Democrats?
Not really. You know, I can't say there's all different kind of people. If you look at who signed up, you know, in all different caucuses, as you see right here, you know, there's many different people that have signed on, so, no, not really.
I wanted to ask, why do you think so many folks have signed on? There are a lot of proposals around reining in ICE, reining in DHS. Why do you think that impeaching the secretary is something that has rallied so many members of the caucus towards the effort that you're pursuing?
I just feel like enough is enough. We've been working on this for a little while. This wasn't just a, you know, a knee-jerk reaction because, of course, they've been in Chicago, you know, for so very long. And I know other colleagues are working on other parts, and I believe that people will join, you know, with those colleagues too. But I just think that people are sick of it, and anyone can answer the question because they've signed on.
I could add that public sentiment is everything. We are watching the polls. The American people are upset. They didn't sign on for this. The most fundamental principle and value for the American people is fairness and humane policy, not beating the shit out of people, especially vulnerable women and children.
Let me just say that while everybody is vulnerable, I can attest to the fact that the Latino community, as chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, has been disproportionately targeted, to the degree that even in Minnesota, where there's a clear intent to go after the Somalian community, the vast majority of the people arrested are Latino men. For that reason, I will be going Friday to Minnesota, as I went to Chicago for the shadow hearing there. Para que todos sepan, la comunidad latina está desproporcionadamente afectada por este asalto. En Minnesota, la gran mayoría de personas que son arrestadas son hombres latinos. En Chicago, también la gran mayoría de personas arrestadas son latinos. En Nueva Orleans, in New Orleans, the people targeted are workers from Honduras that went to New Orleans to rebuild the city after Katrina. So this is a hit job against Latino communities. And let me tell you, people are regretting, some folks, many folks are regretting their last vote and turning around. And so I would like to stress that because I think that's an important factor.
I can just speak to my constituents in Minnesota. We are being terrorized by Homeland Security and ICE and Secretary Kristi Noem's orders in the state of Minnesota right now. And let me be clear. I'm from a swing district in Minnesota. I have been one of the most bipartisan members of Congress that you will find in the Congress. This has crossed a line. Minnesotans, we want safe and secure borders. We want violent criminals to not be in our community, but this is not what we signed up for. This rogue agency is violating the rights of immigrants. It is violating the rights of American citizens in our communities. And last Wednesday, the violation of those rights, the escalation by ICE in our communities, got Renee Goode killed. And now this administration is going after her widow and going after her and 6 U.S. attorneys who, by the way, are patriots in Minnesota at the U.S. Attorney's Office have said, no, we are not this. This is not who we are as Minnesotans. This is not who we are as Americans. And so I believe you will continue to see members of Congress from across the ideological spectrum stand up, speak out, because we know the difference between right and wrong, and Americans can see with their own eyes that what's happening in Minnesota and in Illinois and most possibly coming to New York is just plain wrong.
May I say something? Americans across this country have been protesting what they see with their own eyes and the lies that they're told, which are belied by the things that they're seeing. What they're out there protesting, and they expect Congress to use every tool that we have to push back, to hold accountable, and to show the American people that we are fighting for this democracy, for constitutional laws, and for treatment and respect of all of our communities. So that happens to be a time when you had the horrible situation in Minnesota. We've had the horrible situation in other cities. This particular resolution comes just at a time when enough is enough is enough. And people are looking to us to do everything we can to show that we have responsibility in this space.
Also, I wanted to say that I've gotten phone calls, and I know my colleagues have too, from constituents, but from people from across this country. People I do not represent, people in different states encouraging what we're trying to do. The other thing is, you asked me about Leader Jeffries, that we have concentrated so much on the cost, affordability, and health care, and I never want to detract from that. But when you think about it, and we work with many different people and committees, but this is affecting people's health care. This is affecting affordability. When I think about Chicago and people afraid to go to work, when I think about restaurants that don't have as many people coming to eat there, when I've heard stories about people afraid to go to the doctor, afraid to take care of their health because they're afraid to come outside. I had a town hall meeting in a grocery store, and people told me stories how they're just simply afraid to go outside, whether it's shopping, whether it's going to work, whether it's going to healthcare, to their healthcare needs. So this is affecting, it's widespread. It's widespread. I'm not good at this, so.
When you think about impeachment, obviously there's a numbers game that's involved with that. If you put the merits of your resolution aside and think about just that numbers game of getting passage in the House and conviction in the Senate, is this more about sending a political message right now or previewing the playbook for Democrats should you take back the majority? Or what's sort of the impetus? Is it just striking the moment with current events?
For me, this can answer. It was like Congresswoman Robin Kelly said, enough was enough, and I just feel like we need to use every tool in our toolbox. If we do nothing, nothing will happen. And so just really now trying to build on momentum, getting as many people signed on as possible. That's the first step.
If I can just add, we cannot be cynical at this moment. We have to stand up for our country, and if we are cynical that nobody's gonna join or we're not gonna get it passed, nothing happens. And we proved that with the ACA extended premium, or the tax credit extension. People thought that there was no way that we would pass that in the House, and we have to continue to message what's right. The American people can see what's happening is wrong. They want us to act. I had a town hall in less than 24 hours where standing for perpetual applause for impeaching Kristi Noem. Like, the people want us to do something, and that's our job.
You talk about using every tool in the toolbox. If this effort does not gain enough momentum, what other options are House Democrats considering? There's been a lot of talk of defunding ICE through the appropriations process, also abolishing ICE. What options are on the table?
Well, actually, I think at this point, all options are on the table. We just have to see, what's going to work, and we have to have, more discussion around it. But yes, I've heard conversation around that too. But those are all tools in the toolbox that we have to look to. I'm hoping, maybe I'm an optimist, but I'm hoping against hope that when she sees, as people have talked about, the momentum, the public, the polls that are so much against what she's doing, that she will realize that she's a public servant and that she's serving the American people, and the American people do not like what she's doing or what they're seeing.
Thank you. The situation in Portland's been brought up. When we talk about this, DHS side of the story is that the individual involved driving the car was a member of Tren de Aragua, or believed to be a member of Tren de Aragua. They're alleging that the driver weaponized their vehicle against law enforcement. Is it okay to be lumping these cases together, consider that Renee Nicole Goode was not a member of a gang, and does that hurt the effort at all?
Yeah, what I will just say is that the first and foremost issue is that people have rights. Due process is available and a right to every single person in this country. You do not become the executioner because somebody is driving away, and that is absolutely a principle that our law enforcement in Portland has really been very intentional about rebuilding trust in the public right now. So these sorts of lawless activities undermine trust with our public officials, our law enforcement agencies that really are doing the right thing. So I think it's important that people get their day in court, that they are prosecuted if they are criminals. This is the same issue when Abrego Garcia was taken to El Salvador. It is a right to be able to prove your innocence or be found guilty in a court, and that is what these folks are not getting.
And even though you differentiated with Renee Goode, they still called her a domestic terrorist. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.